going by that screen or our phones.
What does the phone say?
6:30.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Please stand everyone for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Sure. Supervisor Alex Sapien.
Here.
Trustee Dean Morelli.
Here.
Trustee Greg Vickus.
Here.
Trustee Karen Johnson. Absent. Trustee Denise Salvino.
Present.
Assessor Mary Ann Williamson. Absent. Highway Commissioner Jim Welsh.
Here.
Collector Jessica Kennedy. Here. Attorney Gary Mueller.
Present.
Thank you, Clerk. So first item on the agenda for the town fund is the approval of the minutes. I will need a motion to approve the minutes for last month's meeting as well as the workshop meetings.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I have a motion by Dean Riley.
I'll second.
I have a second
Okay.
by Denise Salvino. Did we have any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the bills. I have bills in the amount of $81,940.41. I will need a motion to pay the bills this month.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I have a motion by Dean Morelli.
Second.
I have a second by Greg Vickus. Do we have any questions on the bills? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Sapien.
Yes.
Morelli.
Yes.
Vickus.
Yes.
Salvino.
Yes.
Motion carries. Do we have any citizens wishing to address the board in regards to the town fund tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is outside presentations. We actually do have a speaker tonight, and that is Luke here from Limestone Stage Theater Group, who many of you know performed several shows here in the community room. So Luke is here to speak to the board just for about a 5 to 6 minute presentation, just to give everyone a quick update as to what the theater group has been doing and what they will be doing. So what we'll do is we'll have Luke present, and we'll save questions till the end.
I'll put a PowerPoint together, guys. This ought to be something. So while this is getting loaded, I wanted to give you the heads up of why we wanted to do this. So if you guys remember the last time I was here, it was a real weird meeting, all right? There was a very strange energy in the air. And I brought that back to my board, and we're like, guys, something's up. So what we decided to do this coming year is keep your board more informed of what we're doing with this building, how we're engaging the public, how we're engaging everybody. There's Callie, there's our stage manager. Come here, Callie, you're doing this with me. She drives from like Clarendon Hills to get here, so God love her. We put this together just to give you guys what's going on. There's really no agenda here other than to make sure that you guys understand that you're part of this little community that we're building here. And I wanted to make sure that you guys get a good feel for exactly how we do that. So, this is Callie Clinton. That is, she is arguably the most important member of our little company.
Spell the last name, please.
Clanton.
She speaks. Callie is one of our founding members along with us, and she has been party to all of our shows. She's our executive stage manager, so anything that happens on that stage when it comes to showtime, that's her job. Make sure it goes right, make sure it doesn't break, make sure everybody is healthy and safe and all that type of good stuff. That's her jam. So we put this together. Oh, neat. Boy, this thing is cool. Okay, so what would we say we do here? So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We have been focused around community initiatives, education, and being an artistic outlet here for the city and for the town and really for the whole Will County general area. We found out there's not a whole lot of things like this, especially for free. That's what makes us different, is all of these other theaters that are in the area, they charge all of their members, they charge the community organizations, they charge all these people to come in and say, hey, if you want to be on stage with us, totally fine, give us $400. We don't need to do that. And part of the reason we don't need to do that is because of this wonderful partnership that we've built with the township here, and we want to thank you for that. But this has really, in the end, saved all of these community members, and we have like 150 of them now that are part of our organization. It saves them a bunch of money. They have a place to go, and they have a place to have an outlet and do all this kind of good stuff. So here are some highlights that we have done here in this building. And now this is only the stuff that we have done in this building. For a little bit of history, we came here from the Gaylord building in downtown Lockport. And if you guys know that space, the galleries upstairs are where we were doing our stuff. So they hold about 50 people, including cast. So when we were able to come here, this kind of blew up. It allowed us to do some really, really cool things. Like all of these shows that we've been able to produce here. Some very, very cool things. Like Clue last year that Callie directed, that was sold out almost instantly. We put 700 people in here over 2 weekends. Where the first show that we did here was It's a Wonderful Life, and it was the first time in Illinois that the full stage version of that had ever been done by a community theater. And we were able to do it here with a really, really unique set. We've done Shakespeare, and we're doing it again right now, where that set that's up there right behind that screen, and you guys can feel free to come and look at it if you want. It's not done. Don't blame me, I'm working on it. But that one is going to be from Much Ado About Nothing, which is set in the Old West. That goes live next weekend and the weekend after. So that's all there. Also, we do education and workshop series here. This is a free service that we give to the community. We've gotten pretty good at being able to figure out how to do these build setups and how to do writing seminars and how to do directing, how to do acting. Kit, who's our artistic director, he's very, very good at presentation, and he's done things on how to interview for jobs by using monologue concepts and how to be able to take theater concepts into your regular daily life. So we do this about 6 times a year. Callie's working on one right now for stage management. And these are some shots of what we've done so far this year, which teaching people to build, and we've got a lot of seniors and a lot of high school students from the area, so it's a really cool blend. All right, so here's some fun stats. We've done 14 shows in this building, and that includes the one we're about to do. We've done 6 free workshops. We put 200 people in that field for Midsummer Night's Dream during COVID, because we didn't want to bring it inside. We didn't know what we were dealing with, so we said, let's put a show outside. That was insane. We don't think we'll ever do that again, because we had to design a set that could be moved. Because on one of the days when we decided we were going to do the show, it downpoured, and on another day, it was 102 degrees. So we just drug everything inside, which was a lot of fun for our cast and crew. That said, it was a wonderful show. People got to hang out on like blankets and stuff that they had brought for out there. They could hang out in here and do this little picnic thing. It was really neat. People enjoyed it. We put 10,000 people in this building since we showed up. And that's a huge deal to us. We brought people in. This was an experiment to see if that space was viable, if theater in this area was viable. And 10,000 people said, yeah, it really is. So we're really, really excited about that stat. Here's where I've made some of my typos. I was just firing randomly, so I apologize. Some highlights. We've put about 35 grand into investment into those trusses and into the curtains. We just put a new, and I'll show it to all you guys, we just put a new, what we call a sight curtain, which is kind of a background curtain that reflects light. We put $1,000 into that last week. So we continue to invest in the building because you guys continue to invest in us. So it's kind of a reverse thank you. This is not stuff that's limestone stuff. This is stuff that we want Allegro to use, the other theater company that borrows the space. This is stuff we want to use for trunk or treat when you guys do them. Aaron, when you do your community fun days, when you guys have anything that's going on in here, use this stuff. And if you don't know how to use it, have him call me and we will come here and we'll teach every single person here how to use it so I don't have to be here. It will be super, super great. And then members of our board. Kelly, you always volunteer to show up to do that type of stuff and teach people and engage the community. And if you guys want to work with any of us on any projects, feel free. There it is. There's my typo, and I was biting my hair on that. Anyway, we put about 20,000 man hours so far into building sets and hanging lights and doing all these kind of good stuff. Fun fact, everybody in this room and your guests and every employee for the township get to come and see our shows for free. If you work here, and I don't care if you work for the clerk's office or for the assessor's office, or if you drive a truck within the highway department, tell us you work for the township. Come here, come see the shows. You're part of this, so you kind of get to act like a crew and come here and engage this. So if you ever need tickets for anything, you send a message to Michelle or you send a message to myself, and we'll make sure that you get on the list, pop in, check out what we do. They're really, really good shows. We talked a little bit how we've done community fun days and the senior expos and the trunk or treats. We lit a magician. That was fun because I get to know all the tricks. So we got to do that, and as of last year, we've raised about $3,000 for local charities, including the fish pantry that's right here. And last Christmas, we did Christmas Story, which is the you'll shoot your eye out, Red Ryder BB gun story, and with the big leg lamp. And apparently everybody wants this lamp. So we got one from the original distributor, and then we auctioned it off. And we raffled it off, and people had tickets, and we sold 1,000 tickets for that. And people were super jazzed, and we ended up raising more than $1,000 for Love Smiles Pediatric Cancer Foundation last week. We want to make sure we gave you guys a huge thank you. That's all this is for, is we're very excited to be here, and we are going to continue to be here. So if you need anything from us, we want to help. If you need help with presentations, or say, how do we use this room better? How do we use this stage better? I have a thought on this. I want to be able to engage these kind of people. This is what we do. Bring us out. We'll be more than happy to help you do that. And if you have questions about anything, let us know. This is an open book. You guys are all going to get an email from me, so you have all my contact info. Alex, he texted me twice this week, so I mean, if you guys ever need me for anything, I'll be happy to be here. But we have 9 board members that are all relatively local and all super engaged. We've got another core of people that are here in Lockport that all work with the company. We trust everybody. We're very excited about it, and if there's anything else you need, you let us know. But that's all I've got. I would like to thank you so much for the time, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Neat. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Luke and Callie. Moving on to the clerk's report. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Alex. The month of June brought the clerk's office many notary and FOIA requests. Our diaper drive has been reaching out to well over 30 families per month. I am awaiting the next step from United Way to see when our partnership will be expanding into dental hygiene supply outreach as well. I'm reminding those on the board that have not completed your required OMA term training, please do so and send me a copy of your completion certificate for the clerk's office records. During the last monthly meeting, Supervisor Zapian was chosen to be the OMA designee, and he will be responsible for submitting everyone's certifications. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. As a reminder to all, in order for the township residents to stay informed on our events and information alerts throughout the year, please remind people to visit our www.lockporttownship.com homepage to sign up under the tab alerts and notifications. We can also assist residents with signups if they either visit the township offices or give my office a call at 815-838-1031. And that is all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any comments or suggestions from the trustees? Hearing none, I'll move on to the building report. So, for the trustees, you may recall that we had a workshop just a few weeks ago regarding the new parking garage. I want to give everyone a quick update. So, the action items left from that workshop were that Trustee Bickus we called the city of Lockport to see if a permit was pulled from the contractor. Trustee Biggis did call and confirm that a permit was indeed pulled, so thank you, Trustee Biggis, for doing that. My office then requested a copy of said permits, and I sent that to each of you in an email. I also sent it over to the attorney. From there, I also called the contractor, and after many phone calls, I got a hold of them, and I explicitly requested any and all documents associated with the township, whether it be contracts, signed documents, bidding documents, etc. I received all of those documents. Again, I also sent that to each of you in an email. To reiterate and confirm our suspicions, however, the only contract-like document that we have is the bidding proposal that we discussed at the workshop. So there are no additional documents that we have, and I guess per our attorney, Gary, please confirm me if I'm wrong, it doesn't seem like there's any binding documents that we have with them. Again, I will say I explicitly did ask Tom, the point person, if there was any contracts or documents that mentioned either a start date, end date, number of employees that will be here, and he said no, that there was nothing like that. He said that if anything, he was waiting on our office, so the township, to kind of lead the way. So they're not going to even start building until we say so. He also said that if we would like a contract with more explicit legal language, we can also have them do that. But as of now, they're kind of just taking a step back and waiting for us, to kind of tell them about next steps. I will say, last week I did brainstorm some questions. I was curious to hear more about if they did have a start date in mind. I also wanted to know, I know there was a thought during the workshop of what if the price of supplies has gone down. Could we explore that? But I have been attempting to reach his office and the secretary for the past 3 days, left messages, and I have not received a call back. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're on vacation, but at this point, I'm going to keep bugging them until I have the questions answered. But with that, I'd like to open it up to the trustees to see if we have any thoughts, if we can think of any action items, if it's necessary, if we think another workshop is necessary, but I'd like to hear the trustees' thoughts at this time.
My thoughts are, it doesn't seem like he's very motivated to do the job. I probably should ask him if he really wanted to do the job still. But seeing as he has been putting it off, it seemed like it was in our hands to tell him when to start. I assumed that if he got a permit, I would assume the next step for him would be to start and not wait for us to tell him, okay, we're ready to go. He came out here and put up a silt fence, and that generally means that you're ready to start the project, right? So I'm not sure what his intentions are at this point. Maybe we should write him a letter that asks what his intentions are, if he plans on completing this project. If he does, then submit a contract to us to be executed, and have him tell us the next steps that he plans on doing. We shouldn't be the general contractor to tell him what to do. He's the general contractor, we're the client. He's gonna be telling us when he's gonna start.
Sure.
And when he's planning on finishing, and when he's making his money.
Sure. Yeah, and actually on the topic of money, so in my discussion with the contractor while I was going back and forth, I did initially ask the contractor for a copy of the permit before I reached out to the city. And funny enough, rather than send me the permit, he sent me an invoice. And it was not an itemized invoice, rather it's an invoice for 20% of the overall cost. Again, I let the attorney know, but rest assured, I of course did not pay the invoice and won't be planning on paying that invoice anytime soon until I at least get my questions answered by the contractor. So it sounds like, let me get a hold of the contractor.
Maybe your next step should be to invite him to the next board meeting. And then if he doesn't show, then he must does not be interested in the project. But he could be here to answer all the questions by the trustees.
And does anyone else have any thoughts on that or regarding the contractor in general?
I mean, just to expedite things, could we do like another workshop, invite him to the workshop, you know, just specifically him instead of me?
So you don't have to wait another whole month.
Right, before we get an answer from the guy.
Yeah.
Or,
I have no problem with that.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I agree with the certified letter saying, you know, this is what we're requesting, and, you know, we've been having a problem getting an answer from you, you know. You know, he's not returning calls or answering emails or texts and stuff like that.
That sounds like a good idea. Let's, everybody else good with doing a workshop and invite him to come, invite the contractor to come and present
Which part, the certified letter or the workshop? Because he said two ideas.
the
A
certified
certified
letter.
letter inviting him.
to the
Invite him,
workshop.
okay, I'm like, you just want to have a certified letter, or you want to invite him? Okay.
Well, yeah, because then the concern
Okay.
is if he doesn't get back to answer our simple
Mhm.
questions, how difficult is he going to be to work with
Right.
on this project all the way through?
Sounds good. Okay, so it sounds like there's interest in a workshop then. Can I hear everyone's availability? I guess, how soon do we want this? Do we want this as early as next week? We could also have this the week after, the week of the 24th.
I would say if you got to get a letter out, you
Okay.
probably want to give him a little time to respond.
Sure, so-
I would say probably look at the week of the 24th.
Let's see. I am out the 24th and have quite a few things the 25th. We could do it as early as the 26th.
Is that a Wednesday?
That's a
Yes, that's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
If we get the letter out tomorrow, great. Take a week till we get the receipt of the letter.
Sure, and that gives them 1 week's notice. Do we think that's enough?
I suggest that you do two things. You send a regular, just regular mail and certified. In my experience in 33 years of doing this, they might not accept the certified mail. They never remember to decline to accept the regular.
Okay.
So he'll get his message, he'll get the message. The certified just makes it that much easier if we ever have to do anything further.
That sounds good.
Sure.
I'm free the 26th and 27th.
What does everyone else's schedule look like?
I'm free those days.
Free those days?
Only the Wednesday?
Clerk, only Wednesday? Okay, so we can look at Wednesday. Trustee Backus, does Wednesday work for you, the 26th?
Yes.
Okay. Do we, it seemed like last time the preference was a bit earlier. Does 4:30 work? Do we want to make it 5? What's everyone's preference? I am free that entire
I think we should give him the opportunity to work a full day, so 5:30 probably the earliest I would schedule it.
5:30?
That sounds good.
Okay, so we'll schedule a workshop on Wednesday, July 26th at 5:30 p.m. And to reiterate trustees' comments and the attorney, we'll send him both a letter in regular mail as well as certified mail. And of course, I will continue to try to get a hold of him over the phone. And then just send him an email, just so we have 4 different mediums at that point.
I wanted to just ask you a quick question.
Sure.
It was a little confusing, the verbiage of saying parking garage. Are we calling it the parking garage? Because all my minutes have kind of said the garage project, or, you know, are we leaving this into saying parking garage from now on? And I don't mean to be small on the whole,
No, that is totally.
because I'm thinking, are we getting parking garage?
Yeah, I guess it's not quite a parking garage, but I guess we'll be parking some of the buses in
garage,
there.
the
But we
garage.
can just call it the new garage.
Okay,
How
new
about that?
okay.
We'll refer. Yeah,
I got
just
excited there for a minute, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you get a parking garage?
not quite a parking deck. No. New
Okay.
garage, we'll call it. Thank you for that.
Okay, sure, thank you. Okay, July 26th, Wednesday, 5:30
5:30
PM workshop.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. So, on the topic of parking lots, this is actually a topic that goes somewhat hand in hand with the new garage. And so many of you, I'm sure, from personal experience, have probably seen that our parking lot could use a little bit of work. I will also say that firsthand, I've actually had not one, but two residents actually request to come into my office and give me some feedback on the parking lot. So for that, I will say that our parking lot could use some help, though of course, if we are going to have the construction of a new garage, it probably makes sense to have the parking lot fixed up after the construction of the garage. So there's no, I guess, votes or just major discussion that needs to happen now, but I just want to get the ball rolling. I had one of my employees, Dave, who works in maintenance, just call up a few companies just to get a few estimates. We received quotes from 2 of them. So just to give everyone a quick idea that to repave the parking lot, and again, this includes just cleaning and priming the existing asphalts, placing a new 2-inch surface course over the entire lot, restriping and paint. One of the quotes we received was for $102,000, and they said they could get the whole thing done in one day on like a Saturday, come in at 5 a.m., be done by 9 p.m. By the time we start on Monday, we just have a brand new parking lot. A second company who submitted a quote said they would do it closer for $120,000. They did not give us a time estimate, and we're still waiting on quotes for 2 more. But just want to give everyone a ballpark estimate as to how much it would cost to clean up our parking lot. Nothing, and I don't intend on taking any further steps on this, but if anyone has any thoughts, I'd be open to it at this time.
I think it's a good idea. Obviously, I agree that parking lot does need work. I know we've knocked it around for years and just never moved forward with it. And there's also been discussion about additional parking, off to the north here, like where the new garage would be, kind of to the west of the area. And I'm just, like you said, early stages, but I think it's something that could be, a necessity.
Sure.
Definitely, like I said, not being here every day, but talking to the other employees who are, some of the functions that do happen and this and that, we do have an overload of issues, during some of the big events, causing traffic problems at a time. So just something to consider, and maybe once we do start discussion, some of these companies could give us
Sure.
an estimate if we figure out how many spots or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Again, to your point, on separate occasions, so I mentioned there was 2 residents that actually came up to my office to give feedback, both at Fun Day and the Senior Expo. I had a few folks, residents that I was just saying hi to that, they gave some feedback on expanding parking, just because I'm sure many of you saw that we had folks parking, behind in the fields and on the sides, and of course, we had our shred truck. It was difficult for folks to get out, especially if we had all the other trucks and then we had a limited amount of parking. So I think that's a good idea. But that's why I'm saying it kind of goes hand in hand with the new garage, because there's not a whole lot we can do until we build the garage, but at the same time, we need to keep the parking lot in mind when we're looking to build the garage.
Is there a possibility of patching any of the larger holes until we get there? There's some pretty decent holes out there.
I could probably run by cold patch and patch them until we get things in motion with the new parking lot.
That would actually be great. Let's talk more. I'll email your office.
Thank you.
I think if we do, depending on what happens with the meeting with the garage, we may want to look at the landscaping plan and storm drainage, maybe building a retention pond in the back. If you're going to put more parking in, it may involve more than just a parking lot.
Sure.
Parking lot renovations. And we'll need to get engineers and architects involved.
Okay. Good to know.
I think we had an engineer give us some type of a drawing before when Ron was around.
I think there was something, I don't know if you can find anything like that, or if we can look it up in past meetings. But I know, you know, that area, obviously, to the west of the building is swamp at times.
Right.
You know, obviously, there's an issue.
I mean,
with
some type of
drainage and
retention
stuff.
pond could probably be built back there. I'm not sure where the drainage goes from back there, if there is any drainage to the stream that's down about a quarter mile.
Yeah, that's obviously something that gotta be discussed and looked into, because, you know, there is definitely a drainage issue, especially.
That was back shortly after township public building. So that's about how long that was.
Okay.
Several years ago,
Spring hasn't changed, so.
that was. Exactly right. It's been at least that long.
We get HR Green is the engineer we use for our roads. We're currently doing a project in College View. I don't know how much familiar, but on the back side of that, there's a big parking lot for the Park District. So we're doing something in conjunction with the Park District, and they're adding more parking spaces, and they have some drainage problems. If you want that guy to come out here and give a quick assessment, I don't think he charges anything, 'cause he's already, you know, unless he puts together a plan, of course, but I mean, just to take a look, you know.
I'll send you an email about that as well. What was the name of the organization?
HR Green.
HR Green. Sounds great. Cool. Some great ideas, everyone. All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, we have a long list of items today. So, first thing I have here is approval to appoint myself as the IMRF authorized agent. So just a little bit of context, IMRF is what we use for employees' retirement, disability, etc. So it is in very typical fashion that the supervisor's office, which is also in charge of payroll, also acts as the representative on behalf of all township employees to represent them to the IMRF when there is a need. And so I have here, I have a copy of the form, which essentially it just asks for a copy of the minutes confirming that an elected official was appointed to act as an authorized agent. So unless there are any questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve myself to act as the authorized agent.
I'll make a motion to approve Alex Zapian as our authorized agent for IMRF.
I have a motion by Dean Morelli.
I'll second. Give it to Greg this time.
Okay, second by Greg Dickus. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. So next thing up on the agenda, I'm sure many of you are already aware that there's an annual TOI conference. This year it will be from November 12th to November 14th. And so obviously everyone here, all elected officials are invited. Some members from my office are also invited. Again, not everyone will go. So what I'd like to say is I'd like to give everyone 1 week's notice here. If you could please let me know by next Tuesday if you would like to attend. And in the meantime, I would like, though, to get a head start on reserving hotel rooms so we can all kind of stay as a group and also stay close to the conference location, but also just to reserve our spots for the conference. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? All right, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve up to 12 members to attend the conference.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Greg Dickus,
I'll second.
and I have a second by Lee Salvino. Given that this includes purchases, Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Morelli,
Yes.
Dickus,
Yes.
Sapien,
Yes.
Salvino.
Yes.
Moving on to the third topic on our list. So I have here a request to open up a bank account with Wintrust Bank. So for a little bit of context, when I transitioned into the role, I spoke with both our previous bookkeeper as well as our current bookkeeper, and myself, the bookkeeper, and the past supervisor visited all of the banks who hold our accounts to add my name to those accounts. And when I was there, I learned that the large chunk of our CDs, so our high interest savings accounts, either matured or are about to mature. And so as many of you know, the interest rates from last year are abysmally low. Like I'm talking like 0.2%. And so some of the interest rates this year, if you renew the CDs, are a little bit higher. in the 4 range, like 4.5, 4.8, it changes. I guess the one drawback to CDs is that they hold on to our funds for at least 12 to 13 months. And given that we have some potentially large projects like the new garage or a parking lot, I think it would be more beneficial if we had some more liquid funds. And so for that, I spoke with several other township supervisors and learned of a special type of bank account called an MMA bank account that is actually, it's through Wintrust Bank, which specializes in working with government entities, but they're also through the state treasury. And so this MMA bank account, it essentially is a high interest savings account. It gives you the high interest rate of a CD, which last time I checked was 5.2%, and it does not lock your funds up in any way. The only things are they require a minimum deposit of $10,000, which our CDs are much more than that. And you can only make up to 6 withdrawals a month. And again, you don't plan on using this as a regular bank account. I will also say that another benefit is that the FDIC insurance rate is significantly higher. For CDs, it's only up to $250,000, versus with this bank account, it's up to $2.5 million. So it also makes sense to consolidate some of our expired CDs into this new bank account. So I see some amazing benefits through this new bank account. Of course, to apply for this, again, I need to send them a copy of minutes from the board saying that the board approves opening up said bank account. So I think it's an excellent idea, but I'd like to open it up to any discussion from the board before I entertain a motion.
Alex, do you know how many CDs we actually have?
So we have about 8.
8.
So if I recall correctly, we have about 4 different banks, and then each bank has about 2 CDs.
Okay.
And we already had 3 that expired, and we have 2 more coming up by the end of this year that will expire.
When you say expired, did you mean
Mature, excuse me.
And then, did we do anything with those? I mean, did those mature when you were here, or when you?
Sure, so those matured, and so I gave the bookkeeper instructions that we did not renew those CDs. Given that the interest rates aren't decreasing in the next month or 2, I requested the banks to move the money in the CDs to our savings account. That way they won't leave automatically. So we have that money. We won't need to cancel anything. And if we decide in some future that we want CDs, we can easily just, invest in a new one. That's the nice thing about this bank account is it gives us that flexibility.
Where is the closest branch of Wintrust?
Wintrust Bank, for the MMA bank account, it was closer to Naperville, like Lockport Township. I will say some of our banks that we do have, like Old National, those representatives all the way in Lake County. And when I did meet with our banks, we did meet over Zoom. So I don't think distance would be much of a problem.
Right, I was gonna say, your closest bank is right here.
Now, are there any other types of, have you looked into anything else besides Wintrust that offers something similar, like Illinois funds, or?
Sure, so I discussed with also our existing banks, because granted there was, as you can imagine, a little bit of worry when I told them, hey, please don't renew the CD, please move it to our savings account. I got some nice invitations for Zoom meetings. And so given that I had this knowledge of MMA accounts, I asked them, what other plans do you have other than CDs? And they had their own, let's call it fluffy language that they use to give the name to their bank account. But the issue is because these banks that we work with specialize in corporate accounts, they do have plans similar to like this, but the minimum deposit is like $1 million or more. And we don't have that amount of funds.
I don't know if it's appropriate, but if you don't mind if I could interject.
Please.
The Executive Director for the Park District.
Okay.
So our financial, so we have one bank that we work with. We have 2 funds, payroll, general, corporate account, and 2 sweep accounts that's set up. So there's a minimum balance of the 2 sweep accounts are interest-bearing accounts, and then the remainder of our funds is invested through Illinois Funds, which is the Illinois Treasury Department, which provides a higher yield interest rate, and it does not it doesn't lock the funds either, so you're not investing in multiple areas. It's
Sure.
just, hey, I'm gonna transfer this here, it's available, wire transfer the same day, cover payroll, cover your warrants and all that kind of stuff, so. It's already set up, it's specialized in governmental investment and accounting.
It sounds like an awfully similar plan. It might even be, we might even be talking about the same thing. The only, I guess, the only difference is, is there a bank that acts as a representative, or is there?
No, I work directly with the Treasury Department.
Directly with the Treasury Department.
So my biggest concern is the insurance.
Say that again?
Insurance that the bank carries for
Okay.
their funds, so it's FDIC insured.
Yes, up to $2.5 million.
Right, and that's one of the things that is the advantage to this. I'm not sure what Illinois funds, but if has to do with the state of Illinois, I don't know how guaranteed the funds for, I
Yeah, no,
understand,
it's-
but if there's no guarantee of the funds if the bank fails.
It's an investment program, it's not the bank, so. And I can get the information for you, so I mean, I don't know if this is a decision.
I mean, we've heard of other
now,
funds that have
so-
failed in Illinois, like the
Sure,
education
sure,
fund and stuff.
sure.
I'm not saying that this isn't a good
Mhm.
opportunity, but I just don't have much faith in the state of Illinois and their handling of money.
Sure, no, I get that. So it's just, it's an efficient way, so you're not in 5, 6 different banks and. But again, I can provide the information for if you want it.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy, if you could send me the information, I'd be happy to receive it. That way, even if we decide to go with OneTrust today, we could always use, the Illinois funds in the future. I will say that one of the benefits of using this bank is, again, because we have CDs in 4 other banks, this would be a nice way to consolidate everything, because we're not currently able to do that, because again, we only get insurance up to $250,000, and it's the reason why we have 2 different banks versus these CDs are about to mature, let's just put them all into one bank. And the nice thing too is because they specialize in government entities, our CDs, they're from different funds. Some of them are from town funds, some senior, a little bit of general. And so the nice thing about the bank account with Wintrust is it'd still be one account. We don't need to have different accounting and routing numbers, but they themselves separate it. So we know we can distinguish which funds they're from. We're not just pooling everything and then ourselves keeping track. Do we have any more thoughts on this?
I'd like to get moving forward on this, but just by checking into Illinois funds, their rate is pretty comparable. Actually, the list of rates online, I just pulled it up real quick. It's over 5.25%,
Yeah.
and I don't see anything about what they guarantee, but they are pretty good rates for the accounts. Local government investment fund, yeah. So,
Doesn't show FDIC insured or anything like that. I mean, I know the rates have changed, even over the last 7 months. I know some of them, some banks, 7 months. And what was Wintrust, right off the bat?
So when I checked with them 2 weeks ago, and again, the rate changes, but it was 5.2%, which is similar to what Trustee Baker said, 5.25. When I did check with our commercial banks that we had, they were considerably lower. For example, BMO Harris Bank was 4.2%, and then Old National Bank was 4.8%. So they're still lower than if we worked with this MMA account.
They're 5.2 and that was 5.25.
Right, I will say that 5.2 was what it was 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
It could have
Gone up.
to 5.25%.
so it's a AAA MMF, which is, I'm assuming, is a money market fund. It's AAA rated. It doesn't say anything about FDIC insured though. So I would like to make a decision on this today, but I don't have enough information to request that we make a move on it yet. We could maybe discuss this more at the workshop, make this another item of discussion since we're already at the workshop.
Sure. So I guess what additional information would you need?
Well, Jessica brought up the Illinois funds and.
Maybe a little comparison, get some more information on
Right, instead of,
that.
I always like to compare options. I actually did the same thing with some of my money over the weekend, and their restrictions were a little different for Old National Bank. You had to be new money coming in, so you had to move money around.
Yeah, that works for me. Given that the workshop is on the 26th, which is still relatively close, and interest rates aren't going to change that drastically now in 2 weeks, I'm fine with us tabling this and discussing this. For action steps, I can send over some information regarding this account. And then collector, would you mind sending over information to my office regarding the plan you said, and then we can make that. I'll send everyone an email, so everyone has a little bit of time beforehand to read, and then we can discuss it at the workshop. And again, ideally, we'd like to make a decision that day.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on. So I have two topics that kind of go hand in hand. One is the employee handbook, and second is hiring practices. I wanted to bring this up I want to put this on the agenda for two reasons. One is because I've noticed, just doing some homework, that in the past, these two have been topics of discussion. But I also, these have been topics of discussion that have kind of been tabled. Yes.
Can we make a motion to table that since you have it on for approval of the open thing?
I'll make a motion, we table the approval of opening the bank account.
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thanks.
motion carries to table to the workshop. Thank you. Okay, so going back, so employee handbook, hiring practices. Again, in the past, these have been topics of discussion that have been tabled. I'd like to bring them up. I also received a request to add these to the agenda. I have my own thoughts, but I'd first like to open it up to the Board of Trustees to see if you all have any thoughts on this.
Well, I've been in favor of having some type of HR for our employees. And I know smaller companies that have HR hired outside HR companies. It might be to our benefit to have a company make us a presentation to, there's a lot of different companies that do this type of work out there now. They manage benefits, they manage payroll, they manage your time off. It can all go through an app or a website. And it will help manage that system. As far as our employee handbook, I'm not sure who, I assume, I mean, we have three different branches here. The clerk, supervisors, and the assessor's office. I think we could have some type of a similar, or I think the three leaders in those three departments should be driving the employee handbook and putting it together for approval by the board.
Is that going to include the highway department as well, or will you do something separate? Since we're this building, or that's the thing that, how do you do that?
I mean, I think it would be a little different because his dress code, his work hours, and that are.
You're different.
But they could be, those particulars are the handbook that you would actually sign as an employee. But the company that manages like the payroll, time off, the shorts, could all be done, remotely.
So I'm hearing thoughts on creating an employee handbook. I will say that we do have an existing employee handbook. It is effective as of 2018. So if there are thoughts on revising that handbook, we at least have a template from where to start.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think it's kind of an overhaul. It's pretty outdated or pretty general, very loosely general, where things can be interpreted in different ways.
I mean, I myself was taking a look at the handbook when I was coming in, before I was officially confirmed. I agree there are some things that need to be changed, so I am more than happy to work through it. I also have a digital copy. I'm happy to send it to the board, and please let me know your thoughts along the way. It is fairly lengthy, so I don't expect anyone to read it overnight, but I will be accumulating my thoughts in a spreadsheet, and then it seems like if necessary, I can hand it over to the attorney to determine if we should hire an HR company or contractor to at least look it over. And then, of course, we can then have the board approve it at a future meeting.
Do we need to have some sort of a timeline for this, or an outline, or so that it's not just something that we put on the agenda and then it kind of goes by the wayside like I think it has? Like you said, we've discussed it before. Yeah, or is that something where you and Marianne and Alex have to sit down and talk about your...
Clarifying.
Sure. I guess I'll ask, Commissioner, you're just a little bit different, but still.
Yeah, even
similar.
I could, be
Involved in
the old overall general concept of
Sure.
the handbook. We have drug testing and so on, so it's a little bit different
Sure.
area, but overall, the general thing would be the same. Insurances, days off, whatever else.
Why don't we plan on doing a workshop like mid-September? So we give the supervisor, clerk, assessor, and highway commissioner some time to put together something. It's summertime, so we don't want to tax them with anything overburdening. So I think mid-September would be plenty of time.
Mid-September works as well, and I appreciate the consideration of time because we also have the decennial committee that the commission and I have to work on. So mid-September works fine with me. I don't have any, do we want to, I guess, make a date for mid-September? Not yet? Okay.
I would say just get a consensus, that would be my,
Okay, so,
we got a lot to look at.
okay, that's fine.
I'll be honest, yeah.
And that's fine, I know it's a bit far out.
We'll
So-
put it on the agenda for the August meeting to set a date in September.
Yes.
Throw out some dates to everybody and just kind of, and then set it next month.
Okay.
Good idea.
Let's do that. Let's put it on the agenda for August, but it looks like we're thinking of having a workshop in mid-September.
Will you reach out to everybody to throw out a couple days?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so that's the employee handbook. Did anyone have any thoughts on hiring practices?
Yeah, I
It
think
goes
they're,
together, doesn't
They
it?
go together?
I think it's just, we have to have some sort of guidelines. I know it was in the spirit of you coming on board, but you were not official, you were not approved, and you participated in the hiring of an employee. And that's pretty much like just letting some random township person participate in that. So I just think we need some guidelines to make sure that the proper people are at the table when we're hiring. I feel the trustees were provided applications for scholarship recipients that we award $2,000, but we're not involved in any of the process of hiring, that we're paying employees quite a bit of the tax dollars to do the job. And I guess that's where I just think we need some guidelines set up for that.
Sure. No, I'm happy to include guidelines. As for hiring, again, I'm a very big advocate for government transparency. I'm all for implementing guidelines, especially if we're applying it to all of the offices. I will say there's some guidelines in the TOI handbook and some guidelines from Jerry Crabtree that, at least for the most part, kind of leaves it up to the discretion of each office to hire. their workers. Now, there is a recommendation that said workers, once we finalize to a candidate, should get approved by the board. That is an ethical recommendation. Technically, it's not legally required. But again, in the spirit of transparency, I'm more than happy to implement further guidelines, given that trustees or any elected officials can request information on resumes or other information at any time. So it really just kind of be formalizing it. Again, I am open to it so long as we're applying it to every office.
My only comment on this last issue about the bookkeeper, I mean, it was kind of like a unique situation. So we had a supervisor stepping down, and we needed to fill up a position as quickly as possible. So instead of, I thought the board kind of agreed not to let the supervisor stepping down to make that decision on his own. So I guess, you know.
Well, he said he
Who
was
else
gonna
was
leave
gonna-
it to the new supervisor when they were on board, was kind of what Ron said. So that was the only reason that I was like, why the rush all of a sudden? I thought we were waiting until Alex got officially put on board and then went through the process. That was,
Right.
that
Maybe I
could be
just-
my misunderstanding from a previous meeting, but I thought,
I just thought that, you know, like I said, being, things happened kind of quickly where we lost, you know, the main bookkeeper who'd been here 40 years, and then we had another secretary stepping down who'd been here 30 years. And we were kind of in a tight spot that we needed a position filled. And we kind of agreed that we weren't going to let the supervisor stepping down make that decision, that the new supervisor, who obviously he wasn't actually the new supervisor, but he was probably going to be. So I
know,
felt
but we
that-
didn't even have his letter of recommendation yet. Those interviews and stuff took place before we received the dated letter. That, I mean, that's all I'm saying is that anybody else could just come up and say, well, he participated in that. I want to have something to do with who you're going to hire to, you know, be the new maintenance man or something like that. Not that I'm wishing anything bad on you, Dave.
Even though the other person that was exiting did say he didn't want to make any major decisions again.
What I will also say, given that I worked with the previous supervisor, so a little bit of context, my understanding is the previous supervisor was going to leave it up to the new supervisor, myself, to make that decision, but a little wrench that kind of got thrown in the operation was that the person who was temporarily doing the bookkeeping, who was one of our secretaries, had to retire for extenuating circumstances. So we really did have nobody to do the bookkeeping, and that was before I was confirmed. So we had literally nobody to do an extremely important job. So the previous supervisor took it upon himself to hire this new person, because before we had, you know, kind of a backup plan, but coincidentally, as soon as I stepped in, you know, informally, we no longer had that. So it was an interesting
So
situation.
it looked like some good qualified applicants. So you were on board with who the former supervisor picked?
Yeah, so there was several applicants that passed my way, and so it was narrowed down to about 3 folks, and then we extended interviews to 2, and I myself was part of that interview process, and I took, you know, both positive and constructive feedback on each person. So, and then it was decided kind of as a group. I provided my feedback, and then the supervisor, given that he had the authority, then hired that person. Okay, so it sounds like there are no more thoughts on hiring practices. So I will move on. So community room updates. So at the time of uploading the agenda, there were some updates, nothing major, especially nothing that requires a vote. But in the past 3 days, there have been some discussions with the parties involved regarding community rooms. So there's a lot of pending, so there's, I guess, events that are kind of pending discussions. So I will actually just move that to a further meeting. But it's in regards to bingo and Meals on Wheels. And we're just looking at some potential logistical changes. But at this time, as of now, there's nothing set in stone, so I'd rather just wait until a further meeting. All right, moving back to old business. I don't formally have anything, but I did include in everyone's packet this flyer for the annual back to school fair. So I guess I consider it old business because this was a motion approved at previous month's meeting, but I just want to invite everyone here to the back to school fair that we approved that we're partnering with Representative Avalar. So that's Saturday, July 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Because we are partners, we will have, the Lockport Township will have a table there. Again, you all are welcome to attend, and if you know of any friends or family in the Fairmont community, please be sure to invite them. Well, if they have children, be sure to invite them so they can grab a school supply kit. But also to confirm, we do have all the school supply kits we approved, and the representative's office and my office will be working together early next week to put all the bundles together to hand out at the fair. Oh yeah, the only thing I ask is, if you are attending, please let me know, just in case we need an additional table. But one table should be fine if it's just a few of us, but please let me know. Other than that, I don't have any more old business, no meetings, correspondence, no executive session. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Greg Bickus,
I'll second that.
second by Denise Albino. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, town fund meeting is adjourned. Moving on to Road and Bridge. We do need to approve the minutes for last month's minutes as well as the minutes for the public hearing. Could I please get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Denise Albino,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. Do we have any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any of those opposed? All right, motion carries. Next on the list, approval of bills in the amount of $72,347.70. I will need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay those.
I have a motion by Greg Bickus,
I'll second.
second by Denise Albino. Did we have any questions on last month's bills? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Salvino,
Yes.
Biggest,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Sapien.
Yes. Do we have any citizens wishing to address the board in regards to the Road and Bridge Fund tonight? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to the Highway Commissioner's report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It's been dry this summer, and the rain is welcome. What comes with that are these pop-up storms. Sometimes we'll have some trees come down, branches in the yards. I thought I'd take the time to mention our tree branch pickup days and chipping days. East of 53 is the second and fourth Thursday. West of 53 is the second and fourth Fridays. So there's a list, I believe it's on our website, but if anybody's listening and they need their branches picked up, they can just call the highway department and we'll get them. Other than that, that'll do it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right, I have no other business, and then no executive session. Unless anyone has any thoughts, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the Road and Bridge Fund meeting.
I'll make that motion
Have a motion.
to adjourn the Road and Bridge Fund.
I have a motion by Denise Albino,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Road and Bridge Fund meeting is adjourned. Moving on to the general assistance. I will need a motion to approve the minutes from last month's general assistance meeting.
I'll make that
I
motion.
have a motion by Denise Albino.
Second.
I have a second by Greg Bickus. Any questions on last month's minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, minutes are approved, motion carries. Next on the list, I need an approval of the bills in the amount of $6,548.96. I will need a motion to pay the bills this month.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Denise Albino,
I'll second that
and I have a
motion.
second by Dee Morelli. Any questions on last month's bills? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Morelli,
Yes.
Sapien,
Yes.
Biggest,
Yes.
Salvino.
Yes.
Moving on, do we have any citizens wishing to address the board in regards to general assistance? Hearing none, I'll move on to new and old business, which I have none. No executive session. Does anyone have any input or anything in regards to general assistance? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the general assistance meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Salvino,
Second.
and I have a second by Greg Fickus. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? General assistance meeting is adjourned. Last meeting of the night, senior fund. I will need a motion to approve the minutes from last month's senior fund meeting.
We make a motion to approve minutes.
I have a motion by Greg Fickus.
I'll second.
I have a second by Denise Salvino. Were there any questions on last month's minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on, we do have bills in the amount of $30,215.63. I will need a motion to pay the bills this month.
We'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
I have a motion by Greg Fickus.
I'll second.
I have a second by Denise Salvino. Did we have any questions on last month's bills? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, please have a roll call.
Sapien,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Fickus,
Yes.
Salvino.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Do we have any citizens wishing to address the board tonight in regards to the senior fund? Hearing none, I'll move on to new business, which I have none. Bus report, also none. Any old business? Any final thoughts from trustees or anything that I may be forgetting?
Why are we no longer getting the bus report? Just out of curiosity.
I guess could you fill me in a little bit on what information you'd like to see in the bus report?
Oh, it would just kind of update us, tell us how often they were being used. It's just good to know if we're gonna ever revisit purchasing new buses, if we can go smaller, if we can go bigger. That's all.
Sure, okay. I can consolidate some more numbers for next month. But I do not have a bus report.
No, that's okay. I just was wondering
Yeah.
why it dropped off or if it was, I mean, I understand.
No particular reason.
Okay.
No particular reason. Okay. Any other thoughts before I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion by Greg Fickus.
I'll
I
second.
have a second by Denise Salvino. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, senior fund meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much everyone for attending. And have a great rest of your week.
Have a great evening.
You too.